Yeah, hi. We have a special guest, Kevin Palmer, who is the co-founder of Dutch Line. Welcome to this great people interview series.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to uncover this roller coaster journey of a man who is actually finally made it to the top. And I think this discussion is going to be extremely inspirational for many of us. So, to introduce, he's a co-founder of Dutch Line, which is a digital marketing agency, which is under the umbrella of Fluid, which is a graphic creative agency, and he'll tell us more about that. It's been a few years, isn't it? You have been into Fluid and now into Dutch Line. So tell us more about, this name, first of all, the Dutch Line.
Okay, so the name, I always knew people would ask me about the name, Dutch Line. It sounds a little bit ambiguous, a little bit strange perhaps, and I wish there was a really interesting story that went with it, but there isn't. It's purely a case of I wanted a name with a hook, some kind of memorable feature to it. Perhaps it invokes some kind of vision, some kind of idea. I didn't want to be prescriptive, marketing solutions, limited or something like this. It had to be a bit of a memory to it. You want to be able to hear it once and remember it again. And purely just coming up with some brainstorming sessions of, it could have been Arctic Latte or something. It could have been something insane or crazy like that. Eventually, after testing with a few people and getting some ideas and soundboarding off people, we decided on Dutch Line, purely for the fact that it sounds memorable. You hear it, you remember that.
Yeah.
Rhymes of design, perhaps there's something there. It's not a cocktail. There's a treat called a Dutch Line, but that's the closest link to anything.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be disruptive going forward, as the name itself has come from a very different thinking.
Yeah.
And I guess, so is the organization, doing things differently in a creative and innovative ways. So what's the backstory? How did this idea came along and how did you got into it?
So I must say, to start off with myself, I've got a bit of a strange backstory to getting into the industry myself. I developed this thirst for trying to understand every aspect of marketing and advertising and media, to the point where I think everyone thinks I know everything about anything to do with marketing. I probably don't, I'm sure I don't. I don't have that ego about me, but people I know seem to think that I do.
Wow.
I'm affectionately known as KP, he'll know. Okay. So that came from my late start into the industry. I felt like I had some catching up to do. I was the person that arrived at a party late and decided I needed a few extra drinks to get me up to speed with everyone else. I started in retail. Actually, that was my first career, was in retail. I'd finished my degree. I was stacking shelves in a Tesco nearby, and I didn't do anything with my degree. I carried on stacking shelves. I went full time. I made team leader. I made manager on the department. I made senior management. I then became store manager all the way with Aldi. And I decided 2 o'clock one morning, I did not want to do this anymore. This is not what I want to do. I need to do something with my degree. I have put all this money, this time, this effort into my degree.
Wow.
I must do something with it. And so at an hour later, 3 o'clock in the morning, I was sending out CVs. By the morning time, I was offered a job interview. Did the interview. On the way back home, I was offered the job. And I handed in my notice there and then. I took a big pay cut. And started huge pay cut.
Really?
As you can imagine, a store manager earning commission on huge pay cut.
Really?
As you can imagine, a store manager earning commission on a supermarket, all the way down to bottom of the run, marketing executive at the time. You can understand that's quite a big pay cut. So I then entered the industry with a very big thirst to understand everything. I needed to catch up with everyone that's been doing this for years. And eventually I absorbed all this information. I was a sponge for knowledge. And I not only honed my skills to understand everything, I kind of started to decide, actually, this is how everyone does this aspect, or this is their business model. I can see issues with it. Perhaps I had some knowledge from being a store manager and having to deal with 250 people, having these kind of skill sets. And I suddenly honed this kind of picture, this perfect picture of what I think an agency should be run like. And
Wow.
that's how I ended up eventually becoming Dutch Lime. I took all this knowledge that I'd gained, I honed it, I changed things, and this is the picture that I painted, which is Dutch Lime. This is where we are now.
Fantastic. I think what I take from this is the bravery. A lot of people who are feeling that they're stuck in the retail industry, although there are who enjoy and want to continue, so there is nothing wrong about the retail industry. But those who want to get out, at senior level, you are quitting your job, going for a lesser paid job. I think that's incredible. There's very few who would have taken that kind of a decision. And that's why there are only a few who make it to the top, as he did. Fantastic. So what one thing has worked for you to retain and grow customers?
I think this sounds quite cliche and quite cheesy, and I'm sure everyone has probably the same answer, which is to do the absolute best job you can possibly do. But when you do that, not only do you retain customers because they want to keep coming back to you, you have a good price, you can have a relatively good service, but when you push beyond that and literally do everything you can do for your customers, 110%, 200%, if you're always delivering that kind of level of service, they're going to keep coming back to you. You then have this reputation as well for excellent service, for excellent turnaround times.
Yeah.
And these people in the industry, these customers, they move to other companies and they'll come contact you again. Hey, I need to come back to Dutch Lime because when I was at this company, they did great service. First person I'm going to contact in my new role at this new company, I'm going to come back.
Wow.
It's all about the good customer service. The secret as well is to break down that wall between customer or client and yourselves. Break that wall down, and it's like you're sitting next to them. You're sharing those issues. They've got a marketing problem. No, we've got a marketing problem. We need to sort this out together.
Wow, fantastic.
That's the secret to retaining your customers. They'll just keep coming back.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, what an insight. I think, just taking customer's problem as not customer problem and trying to solve them, which most organizations say that, we solve problems for the customer. But what Kevin is saying is really insightful. It's not even customer's problem, it's our problem. That's brilliant. Well, I guess you must have had your challenges as well. So what was your biggest challenge and how you dealt with it in recent years?
I must say, I think the biggest challenge, and it comes with having all those returning customers, is you suddenly have more and more work you have to take on, which is a good challenge to have, obviously. And especially when you have that reputation of always delivering on time. I almost feel like I have an impeccable record of always delivering the best possible work. So with that comes the dedication to have to do that, whether it's working late nights. The best thing is actually having a team around you that also have that same vision of, we'll just make sure it happens. But whatever, come rain or shine, we'll make sure it happens. And a few energy drinks along the way will certainly help that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But with that sort of a high level of commitment, right, your team will also feel pressure sometimes because you've got to be constantly delivering, literally everything that the customer wants at whatever rate or pace the customer wants. How do you keep the team motivated?
I must say this is something I've always found to be probably one of the most important things you'll find in business when you're working with your team, is keeping the motivation, keeping everyone's vibes up and happy with the work that they're doing. And I found this, I kind of developed this a bit more when I was in retail to a degree, and that's a good place to be able to develop your management skills as well. Actually, that's one thing to say, to really highlight the good things about retail is you have a lot of management team around you. Some of these stores you might have 10 managers, 15, 20 managers. Okay, So you still need to see what a bad manager looks like, see what a good manager looks like, see the ones that are rising to the top, see the ones that are falling. And you can. This is a good place to be if you're learning business. You can see all this, you can analyse, and you can understand. Okay, what am I going to be now? What kind of manager am I going to be? How am I going to motivate my team? And the best I saw, which I adopted, was to start raising the platform of everyone around you to your level. Most people think, I need to come down to their level. That's the wrong thing to do. A lot of managers will do that. Actually, bring them up to your level. Show them how the business is doing, what the future plans are. Then they walk away with some kind of ownership then. They feel like they are very important to the business. They have a sense of importance, and that is the best motivation. That's the motivation that will keep people motivated. Not just motivate them once, keep them happy once, that will keep them motivated. They'll go home and they'll feel important. They'll come back in again and they'll still feel important because they are an important cog in the business.
Well, that's why people, feel that you are the go-to person, because KP is so resourceful in the company. Because if you are working with them the way you just explained, no wonder you are going to have that magnetic effect of pulling people towards you. So great. Now, obviously, along with all the processes and everything that you must have set up to make their lives easy, what are the tools and platforms you would use or recommend our audience to use?
So when it comes to tools and platforms, I always think there's two camps these tools and platforms fall into when it comes to the marketing industry. One of them being management tools, the other being creative tools. So the management tools, I must say they are in abundance. They are quite easy to come by, I think, nowadays. You'll see free trials, you'll see tools with huge price tags. And I must say, I must have tried 80%, 90% of the tools there that are in the market. And I do not like any of them, I'm going to be honest. I will struggle to find one that I'm truly happy with. I'll use one for about 2 weeks and I think, actually, this doesn't work. We try another one. And I probably have too much sense of, I need to control every single aspect of my own personal management process.
Yeah.
How is a piece of software going to know what I want, actually, to be able to manage my processes? I keep it dead simple and I just work with, I'm a bit of an Excel whiz. You could just do it with pen and paper, you could keep it really old school.
Yeah.
This is being truly honest now with management. Why not just an Excel spreadsheet? If you're going to manage your processes, you're going to manage how you book studio time, how you schedule posts for social media, whatever it might be. I think it's all about making sure, not trying to mold yourself to some tool and trying to change your management processes. Actually, let's see, what do you need? How can you achieve that with what you know? What's your knowledge? Can you do Excel? Even if you can't do Excel, use pen and paper. You need to not mold yourself to some kind of tool. You need to make whatever tools you know work for you.
Wow.
And then with the creative side of things, I must say the Adobe suite, everything there is impeccable and works. It's industry-wide for a reason, but some people don't like the Adobe suite of tools and software purely because it's almost like they've got a monopoly, okay? And they charge a fair whack, but you get a lot of apps that come with that.
Yeah.
And also, what better than having a set of tools and software that everyone knows how to use. So when you're learning and you want to get into the industry, you know exactly what you need to jump to. Okay, you don't have to learn all these separately. It's just the Adobe suite. Or better for learning, for sharing, for collaborating if we're all using the same tools.
Yeah.
So 100% the Adobe suite.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. So Adobe suite has got lots of tools, and yes, they come from the creative side. So they have those After Effects and other graphical tools as well as a lot of others. So that's, I think, something that you are suggesting. But when it comes to management, rather than choosing a tool and work for that tool, it's a great takeaway. Let the tool work for you, and if not, then go with whatever you know. I think that's a very different perspective. I have heard for the first time, to be very honest. People always say, well, this is good, that is good, and you must use that tool.
Yeah.
And people are sometimes obsessed with having the most talked about tool in their company. And I think this is a very different perspective.
I've learned that myself purely from actually being that person in the past saying, you need to use this tool. No, this is the best one. And then the person saying, well, I can't use it. It just doesn't work for me. And then, well, where are we now?
Yeah.
What works for you? And then actually that's the answer for everybody. What works for you?
Yeah.
You know?
And there's a learning curve as well.
Yeah, definitely.
For every tool. And then there are going to be those upgrades and not so happy upgrades. And then you suddenly find that the tool has decided, well, even for that matter, let's take, Windows operating system. Suddenly they decide to change the user interface, everybody upgrades, and then they can't use what they used to use in Windows XP times. Sometimes people still tell me that Windows XP was much easier to navigate than Windows 10, 12, whatever came in later on. So absolutely agree, but didn't know that before. To be very honest, it is revealing to me as well. Hi there. I just wanted to share with you all why London School of Digital Business is doing this great people interview series. Well, for the last few years, small and medium businesses have been facing lots of challenges. Individuals have been wondering what's going to happen to their careers because of these emerging trends and technologies, artificial intelligence, VR, AR. What's going to happen? It feels as if the world is changing. And then COVID hit, and there is a lot of depression in the minds of people. So we thought we need to bring in some positivity, bring in some motivation and inspiration. And it's all good to know these stories of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. But we wanted to talk about the extraordinary stories of the people that you get to see in the ordinary world. They are no way ordinary people. They are great people, but they are the ones you can relate to. Hence, we thought this is something that we want to bring in to increase the chances of success for many, motivate them, give them the insights. I'm so happy to share that every leader has shared completely unique and different insights because their situations have been different. Somebody was alone, and we know that entrepreneurs are alone at the top and how it feels, and they fought their challenges. Somebody had partnership, business partners, and somebody could not survive the business partnership, so they had to rebuild themselves. Somebody thought, well, I could have done this differently if I was to go back in time. So every insight is so unique. I must thank all the people who shared their journeys, and I'm sure this will help you all succeed in life, increase the chances of your success, as well as reach there faster, and of course, achieve happiness in life. Thank you for listening. So just going on the lighter side, let's go for a little rapid fire.
Okay.
So one liner kind of answers.
Okay.
What you would like to do over a weekend?
Definitely a long bath and listen to an audiobook. I don't like watching TV in my own time, so yeah, that's my weekend, my dream weekend.
Fantastic. And favorite destination for holiday?
Only recently came to this answer, but Baden-Baden in Germany, the Black Forest, beautiful, beautiful place in the world.
Absolutely.
Only visited last year, and what a treat, definitely.
Right. So, well, no surprise for Dutch life, the name. And what's your favorite sports?
Oh, okay, so definitely football. However, I'm also a big MMA fan. I used to be semi-professional cage fighter as well.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, fantastic. And how about your family?
So my family, I'm newly engaged, so my fiance.
Wow.
I have a son, I have two parents still, and my sister. And when it comes to pets, I have one cat at the moment, soon to be two, one cat called Loki, which is the Norse god of mischief. Very, suiting there. The next cat's going to be called Idun, which is the Norse god of spring and vibrance. And a hamster called Simon. As you can imagine, not as fancy a name, but my son named the hamsters.
Right. Great. That's great to hear. Just on the final part of conclusion, if you were to go back in time, what you would have done differently?
One thing that always sits with me at the moment is maybe investing in cryptocurrency or something like this. I must say, when I first heard of Bitcoin, I thought, well, maybe I should just invest some money just for the sake of it. And I never did. I always think, maybe I should have just done it, I had excess money a little bit, ago when I was a fresh student, and I heard of Bitcoin, and I thought, maybe, no.
And with regards to business, Dutch Line, you would have done things, differently. You would have liked to start much before the actual start time.
In my opinion, no. I'm quite happy with how things have happened, and the only reason I say that, I'm in a philosophical way. I always feel like mistakes happen. You could have done things a bit sooner, a bit quicker, but then you could have done that sooner and quicker. You could keep rolling that ball up the hill as high. That's an endless hill. You could always do it sooner, quicker, stronger, faster.
Trust me.
Stronger, faster.
Trust me. This sentence has taken pressure off so many of there, who are thinking, well, I should have done this 2 years ago. I didn't know. I didn't have the right kind of guidance 5 years ago, and I'm late. I'm in now 30s. I'm in 40s, and I'm now doing it. And people in 20s could have, the advantage of early movers. So I must repeat that. Let things happen. There's nothing early or late. Everything has got its own time, and I would let you, say that again in your own words. I think this is really inspirational.
Yeah, it is something people always want to focus on the past and what could have been done better. So not only could you always put a measure and say it could be quicker, faster, stronger, but also, hey, those mistakes come with learning experiences and learning curves. And you wouldn't be where you are today if you didn't have those mistakes in your life. So if you've got anything to be thankful for right now, well, chances are it's because of a mistake that happened at some point in your life. So treasure those mistakes. They're not mistakes, they're all learning experiences.
Fantastic. No mistakes, all learning experiences. Great. What's your ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal is, again, probably one of those cheesy ones that most people will say. Actually, maybe not. Most people will say, I want to just be happy. I almost feel like I want the people around me to always be happy. I'll put myself second. I always want the people I love around me to be happy and healthy and safe and maybe have a good time along the way.
Wow, fantastic. And who is your inspiration?
So my inspiration, especially from a business perspective, is Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, he's done a lot of work in digital marketing, definitely. But that's not why he's an inspiration to me. He's an inspiration because he's so open, he's so honest, he's so accessible. He won't be sat here dressed like me. He'll have a t-shirt on and jeans. And he might even swear or talk out of turn. He's completely open and honest, and I can really respect someone like that who doesn't put on a face and pretend to be someone that they're not. So wow. I really respect that.
Fantastic. Well, the final and most important piece of this interview is the advice that you would like to give to our audience, who is students as well as lots of those candidates who are employed and thinking, how do we grow while we are employed, using digital schools, tools, skills, and as well as businesses. Let things happen. There's nothing early or late. Everything has got its own time, and I would let you, say that again in your own words. I think this is really inspirational.
Yeah, it is something people always want to focus on the past and what could have been done better. So not only could you always put a measure and say it could be quicker, faster, stronger, but also, hey, those mistakes come with learning experiences and learning curves. And you wouldn't be where you are today if you didn't have those mistakes in your life. So if you've got anything to be thankful for right now, well, chances are it's because of a mistake that happened at some point in your life. So shows you those mistakes. They're not mistakes, they're all learning experiences.
Fantastic. No mistakes, all learning experiences. Great, great. What's your ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal is, again, probably one of those cheesy ones that most people will say. Actually, maybe not. Most people will say, I want to just be happy. I almost feel like I want the people around me to always be happy. You know, I'll put myself second. I always want people I love around me to be happy and healthy and safe and maybe have a good time along the way.
Wow, fantastic. And who is your inspiration?
So my inspiration, especially from a business perspective, is Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, he's done a lot of work in digital marketing, definitely. But that's not why he's an inspiration to me. He's an inspiration because he's so open, he's so honest, he's so accessible. You know, he won't be sat here dressed like me. He'll have a t-shirt on and jeans, and he might even swear or talk out of turn. He's completely open and honest, and I can really respect someone like that who doesn't put on a face and pretend to be someone that they're not. You know, so
wow.
I really respect that.
Fantastic. Well, the final and most important piece of this interview is the advice that you would like to give to our audience, who is students as well as lots of those candidates who are employed and thinking, how do we grow while we are employed, using digital schools, tools, skills, and as well as businesses.
I think my biggest piece of advice is identifying and overcoming a fear I think a lot of people have, and that is not wanting to talk about your business or your idea or share it with anyone for fear of maybe criticism, for fear that it's not a success just yet, so you don't want anyone to know about it. In fact, the more you talk to people, the more you share, the more you connect with maybe old friends and new, with family, you'll find more and more opportunities around every corner. There could be some in some familiar places, That's probably my number one piece of advice. I didn't do that for the longest time, and then as soon as you start doing it, you suddenly find that all these opportunities will start coming your way. You've got probably a lot of people you can tap into. You could have hundreds of people that can help you, and they don't know about you yet, so you tell them.
Yeah, and those who are entrepreneurs with their mindset and probably still stuck in a job, what is a good time for them to actually decide, this is the time I should quit and go full time in my business? Because a lot of people have this mentality of, I need to get few years of experience before I get into a business.
Yeah.
And then once that period is gone, you have, I need to save some money to invest into the business.
Yep.
And, by the time, they're so used to working in a company, they can't get out.
Yeah. So outside of the idea of, okay, let's say we realise there's some kind of capital you need to raise to execute some kind of business plan. Outside of those kind of challenges, I would say, and this is the same with, a lot of people have issues with trying to get fit, with trying to start a diet, start right now, even if it's small, People have this idea things have to be perfect, the planets need to be aligned, I need to have this exact amount of money in my bank, I need to have... That's
why KP is the go-to person in, the family of Fluid and Dutchline. I get that now. So you're so resourceful, so insightful, and full of experience. As you rightly said, what you got of your initial years is your experience, right? A different industry experience, when applied in the space of digital, it always gives you the USP that probably those people who just done digital start to end would probably not have, because they have only one angle. And I think you probably have many angles. You work for big brands, right?
Yes.
Obviously part of your journey was McCann as well.
Yes.
So any incidents that you want to share throughout your journey? Just interesting one?
Oh, I must say, one that comes to mind is just an interesting experience. So we're recording a radio advert. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm on the train to London, on my way to record this advertisement. And we have the script ready, it's been done by a professional copywriter. And we have the voiceover artist. And they decide on the train journey, we can't do this advert. We can't sell this car, we need to do this different car, we need a new script. So I'm there on the train journey writing a script for a radio advert to be
Wow.
broadcast. Quite nerve-wracking, quite scary. And as well, the brief included all these features that had to go into this advert. Oh my God, how the hell do you put all these features into a script that needs to be 30 seconds long? Actually, I'll tell you what, I'll put them all in. And they're just going to have to, that would be the creative, that would be, there's so many features, you have to say it so quickly. It's like, oh my God, there's so much going on with this car.
Yeah.
And it was great. And then on the train journey home, I heard it on the radio.
Wow, that's amazing. So thank you so much for your time and advice. I really enjoyed this talk, and there are a lot of takeaways for a lot of our audience here. So thank you so much once again.
Oh, thank you so much.
We'll see you again.